It says in the song you sang, "Hark the Herald Angels." But in that song it says, "Born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth." What happened that night in Bethlehem is linked to another event. It says in the other song, "Little Town of Bethlehem," all about Bethlehem. It sings of that event, but it sings about another event. It says, how silently the wondrous gift is given, so God imparts to human hearts the blessings of his heaven. No ear may hear his coming, but in this world of sin where meek souls will receive him, still the dear Christ enters in. See, there are two nativities. The one that took place 2,000 years ago in Bethlehem, and the other one that takes place in your life. The birth of Messiah then, and the birth of Messiah in you. The new birth. The two are joined together. He was born into this life that he might be born into your life. The two, that's the whole point. If it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be a Bethlehem. It's not about being born in Bethlehem, a town. It's about being born in you. When you were born again, it was totally linked to this event in Bethlehem. Without the one, there's no other. Both are about his coming into the world, into your world, into my world. Both are miracles. Both are a miraculous birth. Both are the word becoming flesh, but in your flesh and blood. Both are about God intervening one time in human history and the other in the history of your life. Both come as lights in the darkness, the light in the darkness of the world and the light in the darkness of what your life was. You became his Bethlehem. You became his nativity scene, your new birth. The word nativity comes from birth. Many of you know I was born again on top of a mountain at night. Nobody was there, just me and the Lord. In the middle of nowhere, nobody was leading me to the Lord. I mean, I read books, I heard the radio. It was dark. I was on a rock on top of a mountain. The name of the mountain I didn't know. My coworkers didn't know about it at the time. My fellow students in college didn't know about it. My relatives didn't know about it. My friends didn't know about it. My parents didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. It happened in obscurity, just me and the Lord. I didn't even fully know about it because I'd been part of helping to lead a friend of mine to the Lord, but I didn't know the Lord. And when this friend came to the Lord, he said it was like lightning coming through him. But I thought that's the sign, but I didn't see the sign, so I wondered, did I get in? I remember the first week, so I was wondering, but I remember the first week I was in college, but I was working as a security guard at night in a factory, and while I was there was an African-American cleaning man, and he looks at me, and he says, "What happened?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, you got a glow. I said, "Really?" He said, "You got that glow." He was the first one to notice. He was like the shepherd for me. But I didn't tell my parents for months. So it was still something that most people didn't know. I did share with another person in the factory. I led him to the Lord. And I told him, and there was a few friends of us who just came to the Lord. I only told my parents much later. And only after the Lord convicted me, do not hide your light. So I was basically, though forced to, I was going to Washington, D.C. for a Christian event there, and I had to explain to my parents why I was going. And so I told them, "What's a Christian event?" "Why? Christian?" "Because I'm a believer." I waited for the last possible moment, though. I waited till the car was about to pick me up. And then I told my father. I said, "What?" And he was in shock. And I said, "Okay, gotta go." And I took off. My Bethlehem was on a mountaintop. My nativity scene was on a mountaintop with nobody there, and it took time for others to know about it. What happened in quiet, obscurity, private, personal, little, that I could barely feel it. And yet, in time, that little event in my life would begin to change every part of my life. In the course of my life, others would get to know it. Soon others would know. And everything I've ever done or been known for doing began on that mountaintop in that little small thing where nobody saw but God. And so with you. For some of you, your Bethlehem took place in your home. Some of you, your Bethlehem took place in a service. Some of you, you're in your bedroom. Some of you are in somebody's house or somewhere else. In some cases, some people were aware, but not many. And even if they were aware, they still couldn't see what was going on in your heart. In other cases, nobody knew. That was your Bethlehem. That was your nativity. With the first Bethlehem, it happened unnoticed, unseen, and yet it would change the course of history. In time, it would change everything. So with your Bethlehem. As you go with the Lord, as you let that new life grow, it begins to grow and expand and touch every part of your life as you let it, and it changes everything. If you let it, changes everything. What does this tell you? What does it tell you? First of all, the greatest things of God begin as something small. The Lord could have come down like a superhero, easy. Could have come down, flashed the glory, subdued the world, conquered Rome, here I am. But he comes as a little baby in Bethlehem. The greatest things of God begin in littleness. You know, God appearing to Abraham. Only God and Abraham knew it. God appearing to one another and calling the prophet changes the world, but it begins in small littleness, weakness, obscurity. That's the way life begins. Life begins small. God is of life. The greatest acts of God, the greatest changes will begin in your life in the quiet with God. In the secret place with God. Because even if things happen in your life, if things happen, God used things in your life to get you to him. And some of them were dramatic. I was hit by a train. You had your own experiences, but it wasn't the train that saved me, it was the heart-to-heart with God. What's going to change everything, what changed everything in your world, your life, then and what does it now begins in the quiet with God. Heart-to-heart. You know, often we see things as the world sees it. You know, praying doesn't seem really practical or powerful, or it doesn't seem like you're getting a lot of things done. Take time to pray. The things around us seem more important. I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to make money, I got to do this. But what Bethlehem reveals, that's not the way it is, because around in that world there was a million things going on in Rome and in Israel and all around the world, but it meant nothing now. It meant nothing compared to that little baby that was born in the quiet. Things like prayer are far more powerful than the power of this world. They change history and they change you. Your time with God is not a little extra thing that you can do without and crowd out and, I missed it, okay. Because you don't have an alarm going off like you miss a meeting with somebody, they get mad, but you don't hear that with God. Your little time with God is the most important time you have. Amen. What happens between your heart and God's heart is more important and powerful than anything else in your life. Or what doesn't happen because you're not spending time or you're not letting him touch you will also determine your life one way or the other. And in fact, every blessing you experience or don't, the presence of that little baby in that little enclosure with animals was little. Yet it was the most important thing in that enclosure, most important thing in that town, most important thing in that nation and that empire and that world. And that same presence in your life is the most important thing in your life. Your relationship to him, your bond with him, your closeness with God is the most important thing you've got. It's the most valuable possession you have. Most important, most pivotal, most dynamic, most life-changing, most alive thing in your life.
To find out how you can receive more of Jonathan's teachings, to receive special free gifts, or get in touch, go to hopeoftheworld.org or call toll-free 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821. You can also get more at Jonathan Cahn's Facebook page or write us direct at Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA. Hope of the World is dedicated to the goal of spreading God's Word and salvation to every land and people. We do this by spreading the Word throughout the world and sponsoring compassion projects to the most poor and needy around the earth. To get in touch or have a part in God's work, just write to Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA. Or go to hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821.